Right Honorable Speaker, I take this opportunity to welcome you back and to thank you for this opportunity. Right Honorable Speaker, when I was in high school, our famous headmaster used to remind us, the famous Abbas Mukasaka was, that the biggest room in any house is the room for improvement. Therefore, it is in that spirit that we come on this floor quite frequently to explore the angles of that room so that our humble people can benefit maximally for all the opportunities that come their way. All people of Uganda come from a particular village and a particular parish. And us were elected at that grassroots level. So whatever takes place is of great concern to all of us. And therefore, any opportunity by government, any coin spent must be optimally taken advantage of and serve the broadest of interests. It is in that big spirit that we come up with an alternative policy. Not policy as such, because we are seeking to improve and to optimize what will become of the parish model. Care, Honorable Speaker, must be taken. We are not opposed. And we don't stand here to oppose the parish development model. We are critical of it, but we are not opposing it in this statement. Right Honorable Speaker, in the year 2022-21 budget, government thought to roll out the parish development model and the national development strategy. The funds to finance the strategy were initially proposed to be mobilized from reallocations towards PRDP, Luwero Lwenzori Development Program, NAD Seedlings, Agriculture Lead, Operation Wealth Creation, Uganda Coffee Development Authority Seedlings, as well as amalgamation of existing wealth funds, such as Uganda Women Entrepreneurial Program and the Youth Livelihood Program. A total of 453 billion was expected to be raised from amalgamation, of which 444 billion was to be used as a revolving fund. However, Parliament raised concerns on the feasibility of the model. Critical then was the absence of the parish chiefs, which were to be main coordinators of the model. Hence, it was resolved that allocation is reduced to 200 billion in this financial year. The main target at recruiting this mainly targeted at recruiting parish chiefs to fill vacant posts in 5,192 parishes. This will raise the number of parish chiefs across the country to 10,594 parishes. The recruitment of parish chiefs was in line with the Section 69 of the Local Government Act. However, in October 2021, it was noted that by the deadline of 30th September, most of the local government had not yet recruited parish chiefs. Affected accounting officers were threatened with disciplinary actions, and deadline extended to 30th of October. Upon filling the post of parish chiefs across the country, it was proposed that 18.87 million will be allocated per parish. This was later revised to 30 million. This amount is equivalent to what was allocated to each Apex Circle under the Muwanga program. Later, the President proposed to raise the allocation to 100 million by next year's budget. Nevertheless, based on the allocation, it was noted that government prioritized the establishment of parish revolving funds. The key implementing agencies included local government, Kampala's Capital Authority, City Authority, Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Ministry of Local Government, as well as Ministry of Information, Communication Technology, and National Guidance, as indicated in the table below. Right Honorable Speaker, the parish model centers on 7 pillars that include production, infrastructure and economic services, financial inclusion, social service, community data and information system, governance and administration, and mindset change. Its operations focus on prioritizing development of 18 commodities, which include coffee, cotton, cocoa, cassava, tea, vegetable oil, oil palms, maize, rice, sugarcane, fish, dairy, beef, banana, beans, avocado, shea nuts, cashew nuts, and macadamia nuts. Right Honorable Speaker, I don't know whether in Honorable Nsereko's parishes any of those crops are grown or in Jinja Municipality or Gulu City. At Arua Park, I don't see any of the constitution, but that's for another day. The prevailing bottlenecks to the parish development model. Scrutiny of the parish development model reveals that it does not address the prevailing bottlenecks hindering the transformation of agriculture enterprise into profitable ventures. The first critical bottleneck to transform agriculture to profitable venture is unstable prices. The parish development model seeks to increase household income mainly through agriculture and financial service. However, it is oblivious of the fact that majority of the citizens who are engaged in agriculture require not handouts, rather an environment that makes agriculture profitable. While the agriculture sector needs quality inputs, extension services, insurance, arable land, and financing, among others, it should be noted that its potential is suppressed to a great extent by unstable and unpredictable prices, which have been depreciating over the years. This is largely attributed to bumper harvests, inadequate post-harvesting infrastructure, and unstable markets. Unfortunately, recent interventions such as the National Agricultural Services (NADS) and the Operation Wealth Creation have failed to address these gaps. And I wait to see how NADS addresses. I've attached a graph that for the last 5 years shows that there is instability of market prices because finance follow predictability and durability. Consequently, there is uncertainty in profitability, which draws away private sector capital from agriculture. Enterprises perceived to have durability and predictability and predictable profitability attract investments from the population. This largely explains why those that are perceived to be subsistence households have individually mobilized resources through savings, borrowing, sale of agricultural produce, and sale of assets, particularly land, to invest in border. A critical analysis is, I went to a parish, honorable colleague, when we were aiding the COVID people. One small parish, I realized there were 332 borders. In a town, in Chibibi, in my constituency, one town, they had 70 minibuses, new model drones. The question is, why would one buy a border and not a Frisian? Why would one invest 70 million in a drone and not on the land he holds where he grows crops? As we think the issue is just money. It is important to note that majority of Ugandans seek loans or credit for non-farm enterprises and consumptive purposes other than investment in agriculture. I've attached here a graph which shows how Ugandans who go to banks, when they borrow, where do they invest their money for? You would see through this graph that only 5% across board will go to buy inputs for agriculture. But majority of people are in purchase of inputs and farms, consumptive goods, pay education, pay for health. Those are the reasons people go to borrow. So the reason is, why don't people go to borrow to fund agriculture? The government has on several occasions initiated different interventions such as agricultural credit facilities, macro support finance center, Entandikwa, Bonabagagawale, Youth Livelihood Program, Uganda Women Entrepreneur Program, and Myoga, among others. Nevertheless, over 40% of Ugandans still do not have access to any form of financial service. Amongst those that can access financial services, finance sources, 57% of them source credit from informal sources such as village savings and loan associations, accumulated savings, and credit associations, rotating funds and credit associations, and merry-go-rounds. In Uganda here they are called nigina. Therefore, the government financing interventions that require a minimum level of formality, particularly registration, are largely shunned by targeted beneficiaries. That's why the campaign about mindset change is so critical. Besides, the financing interventions are geared towards low-earning households and designed as a revolving fund. They target a number of sectors. It has been noted over the years that beneficiaries are mainly involved in the sectors of agriculture, trade, service, and industry. This has been observed in the Livelihood Program and Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program. It can therefore be deduced that the agriculture sector has not been short of financing options. Rather, there has been so disjointed to make any considerable impact. And therein, we put a table to speak to it. Inadequate, the second factor is inadequate recovery rates of evolving funds. On several occasions, government facilitated evolving funds such as the Muwanga Youth Livelihood Program and Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Program have been considered as donations from government. They are regarded as political tokens and parallel systems within government. Right, Honorable Speaker, most of these funds have a problem. When they are taken to the population, they think these are tokens from the government. And quite, I will draw it to when I am analyzing, quite you will find people who benefited in the Youth Livelihood Program are the same women in women entrepreneurship, are the same ones go to NADS, same people. Operation Wealth Creation, same people. And these are normally those within the system. And they are not mostly engaged in agriculture. Under the Parish Development Model pillar on financial inclusion, government proposes to establish a parish revolving fund that will lend to parish circles. Each of the circles was scheduled to receive 38.8 million in the financial year, this financial year. The parish circle is supposed to exist with the Myoga, which are constituency-based circles. Each of these constituent circles are allocated 30 million. And I will keep giving example to urban circles. A parish in Chisenyi or in Honorable Barimwezo or Honorable Nakawa has, even Chira, has the same number of people as my whole constituency. And you want to say each parish 100 million, irrespective of the population. Two, you study the trends of Ugandans. More Ugandans, by the way, are moving even in rural areas to stay in urban centers than in villages. So as you target to go to villages, Ugandans are not living there. Right, Honorable Speaker, the concern is raised on the fact that revolving funds set up by government have poor recovery rates. And women here, listen and don't take me on, because what I'm going to speak about your associations are facts. For instance, in the financial year 1920, the youth livelihood program has so far recovered only 37 billion, 40% out of the 93 billion dispatched. While the Uganda Women Entrepreneurship Fund only recovered 16 billion, 23% out of the 66.7 billion dispersed. So even as you are speaking about a revolving fund, will man actually revolve when the recovery rate is that miserable? Cost agricultural inputs. This one I don't need to even elucidate. All of us know that agricultural inputs are heavily costly. And if I try to elucidate, it will be a waste of your time. Right honorable members, we know the problem associated with the agricultural inputs. One, they are associated with the quality, then with the price. And then we have a lot of fake drugs. Those who are engaged in cattle and poultry know the losses they are making because of some drugs being sold somewhere. Another factor, honorable colleagues, is a replica of failed initiatives. We keep repeating same things all over. Entandikwa, emyoga, tulembeke, all these things, quite often without adequate research. In Garabi, I don't know Narabon Sereko. So these initiatives keep, and I'll read a paragraph here. It is also crucial to note that the Parish Development Model is almost structured like the project for restoration of livelihood in northern Uganda. There's a project in northern Uganda that should give us an example of what we are dealing with. Unlike the model, which has no projected lifespan, this project called Paremo was worth 248 billion. It started in July 2015 and is scheduled to close by 30th of September 2022. The project operates in 9 districts of Gulu, Omoro, Nyoya, Amuru, Ajumani, Agago, Padel, Kitigum, and Lamon. 100 parishes, 25 sub-counties, and 491 villages. The project components include livelihood, market linkages, and infrastructure, as well as program management and coordination. They are similar to the pillars in the Parish Development Model, albeit under different nomenclature. Unfortunately, the Committee on Public Service and Local Government revealed that the project was a failure and required a forensic audit. It would only have been prudent to evaluate this and other failed strategies, such as I've already talked about, before we embarked on this new initiative. The community information system being proposed in the Parish Development Model was initiated in 2005-2006 as a means of generating data from parish and sub-county level. This system was established to respond faster to policy. This system was expected to respond faster to policy, unlike the Uganda National Household Survey that is undertaken every 3 years. The system was funded under Uganda Bureau of Statistics as the lead agency, working in collaboration with the National Planning Authority, Ministry of Local Government, and Ministry of Labour, Gender and Community Development. Among activities funded included political mobilization, database setup, data recording, and entities, as well as community mobilization, particularly at sub-county level. Ever since 2005 and 6, the system has been allocated public resources. It is therefore misleading to indicate that the system was to commence in May 2021. It has been existing. A new nomenclature is also being used to define the system. It's called Parish-Based Management Information System. So we are rolling out similar things, giving them different names, with nothing new whatsoever. Right, Honorable Speaker, we also think greatly that alternative integrated development approach should be considered here. The Parish Development Model is largely intentioned at supporting and transforming livelihood at those engaged in the formal sector. Emphasis has been placed on supporting agriculture, particularly production of the 18 commodities, such as financial 18 commodities, as well as financial inclusion through supporting the parish circles. However, as earlier highlighted, the strategy and the structuring of the parish development model is problematic. It is more inclined towards tokenism other than creating and supporting an enabling environment where intended beneficiaries will naturally position themselves to benefit from available opportunities. Aware that informal sector employs majority of the population, who contribute approximately 51% of the gross domestic product, it is critical that government interventions are properly targeted to positively transform this livelihood. Therefore, Right Honorable Speaker, our second proposal is that we must establish a price stabilization fund. Those who are in the maize growing areas know that the prices of maize fluctuate so frequently. Even those who are growing coffee, sometimes you are not so sure of what prices. It is common. Government all over that are supporting, all over the world that are supporting agriculture are giving subsidies. For us, it may not go that way. But if you have a stabilization fund, you will go a long way towards. I don't see that in the parish development model. The other alternative, Right Honorable Speaker, in our humble view, and we are very radical about this, all these funds we are throwing in enterprise, in models, in Muwanga, in whatever, if we did two things in this country, would help. One, if we deem it necessary, we establish all these funds and set up a cooperative bank. If not a cooperative bank and we want it to be strictly direct, we can transform all these funds and create an agricultural bank. A bank directly targeting agriculture. Other than, you have today Muwanga, I think the other day will come up with this, people access money and they think it's tokenism. If we establish and dealt with the question of affordability and accessibility of finances, where interest rates in commercial banks are high, in these banks, they will be extremely very low. You will go a long way towards this tokenism and blah, blah, mixed with a lot of issues. Also of interest to us, Honorable Speaker, is that one of the impediments to agricultural development is sustainability of soil fertility. And therefore, government should first invest a lot of money in establishment of a fertilizer factory. An attempt was made at this, and it was, since then, maybe I read this, Uganda annually loses 80 kilograms of nutrients per year while adding parity of 1.15 kilogram. This has led to low yields across the country, for the land is no longer virgin. The present generation feed the lands as though its fertility is a constant factor of production. This is mainly attributed to poor farming methods, inadequate extension services, supply of fake fertilizers, and prohibitive costs of fertilizers. Supply of fertilizers, the latter is mainly driven by transportation and supply costs. For the country imports a full range of fertilizers used in the agricultural sector. Consequently, There is land degradation in every part of the country. To address the dwindling land fertility, a national fertilizer policy was passed by Cabinet in 2016. The policy sought to develop a national capacity in the production of fertilizers, a means of addressing this supply and quality constraints in the market. This would in turn contribute to boosting productivity, sustainability, and the supply chain, predictability of prices, and increase in household income. However, the policy hinged its interventions on intensifying importation and the development of fertilizer factories on private investors, such as public-private partnership. This was the case in Shukuru phosphate factory in Tororo, and proposed NDP3 core project fertilizer breeding factory in Mbale. This approach has failed to yield dividends. Such investments require what is we are speaking about. Government wanted to build this factory, it failed. This investment requires massive investment. It is only the state, if we are serious to transform agriculture, that should be a lead agency in having a fertilizer factory. Our humble view, and Right Honorable Speaker, we want to address one last bottleneck, which addresses an area where most of us come from. The parish model should be based on population density, not territory. When I looked around, the most densely populated area of Central Region and the parish model will receive less money than Ilango region, than Acholi region, than all others. So our humble appeal is, everywhere there are people, you give adequate money. But just simply saying every parish 100 million simply does not work. Right Honorable Speaker, with that I beg to move.